For many years, I wanted to understand how the stock markets worked. I bought books, I took classes. I have an undergraduate degree in business, a master's of business administration. I went to law school and studied securities law. Nothing taught me what I know about the market better than getting into the market and really studying the stock charts. Whether you are a long-term investor, you're a value investor, you're a stock trader, you're just somebody like me who just wanted to understand, how do the markets work? How does Wall Street work? How do indexes, what does all this mean? I learned that it's all about the charts. Because even if you know a company's worth X amount of dollars, it can be valued higher than that. It can be valued lower than that. When do you buy? When do you sell? How do you understand the stock market? The best way I have found is to study the charts. That's what we do at Charting Wealth. What you see before you on this video is a depiction of an index of stocks. SPY represents the Standard & Poor's 500. It's an exchange-traded fund, and it moves along with a big basket of all those stocks as they move. We are looking at time periods when we look at stock charts. You can choose the time periods you would like to see. The stock chart before you depicts 2-day candles. Candles are a graphical representation of stock movement. To make it very simple, green open box candles are strong up movement in the stock price over a 2-day period. Red solid candles are strong down movement. When we go down from the type of candlesticks that we use and we look at what's below that, we have indicators. The indicators that we have, and we only really use two. The first is depicted by a red and a blue line. It is the price percent oscillator. It is a mathematical representation of price movement by two lines. The first is an exponential moving average line, and the second is a blue line that is actually the price percent oscillator. It uses certain moving averages in order to calculate its approach to price movement. And what's very interesting, when you look at price movement, such as when the market started moving up on the 8th of November 2016 on the S&P 500, it crossed over prior to the next 2-day candle moving up. This crossing is extremely important for us because we look for these. When we see these, it's a telltale sign that the downward momentum has ended and upward momentum is beginning. Now, if you had bought into the S&P 500 sometime around the 10th of November, when you saw this crossover occurring, what would you have done? Well, the worst point you could have bought in, the highest of the highs, was $218.31. Now, over the course of the next few weeks, actually about 4 weeks, it went from a high, the worst point you could have bought that week at 118.31, all the way up to a high of 128.34, a low of 124. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that 218, the highest of the highs, to the lowest of the lows, when it hit the topping point on December the 14th, 224 is a nice $6 profit over a very short period of time. Now, when you can successfully chart those types of movements, you can actually do very, very well in the market. But most people don't do that. What do most people do? Well, they might haphazardly look at the market. They might hear a hot tip. Hey, the market's going up. Things are looking good. My broker just called me. I need to get into this. I need to get out of that. We want to empower everyone who joins us at Charting Wealth on a daily basis, and we ask for your participation daily to listen to our podcast, to watch our videos at YouTube, to tune in to chartingwealth.com and follow the market with us, because you end up learning all sorts of things that you can apply, whether you want to be a day trader, whether you want to be a long-term trader, whether you want to be a value investor. Do you want to be able to retire and not simply count on Social Security? Well, if you simply throw your money out there and you don't pay attention to the moves of the market, you are going to be just another dupe, just another pawn. We want you to be empowered. We are all about charting your wealth. That is what the whole channel's about. That's what the whole website's about. That's what our podcast is about. We are all about you empowering yourself. You will learn if you listen to us on a daily basis what Bollinger Bands are. We've got great training on the website. Those are the blue dotted lines that are basically volatility bands. Stocks tend to, and indexes, ETFs, they tend to move with inside the Bollinger Bands. When they spread out, volatility is increasing. When they get narrow, volatility is decreasing, and we're starting to look for breakouts. We use things like derivative oscillators, which are the light green and red rectangles, vertical rectangles, behind the price percent oscillator. We look at all of these types of indicators to help us figure out movement and what's actually going on in the marketplace. Unlike a lot of charts that people use that are super complicated, we keep ours super simple. In fact, the only thing that sometimes confuses people are the vertical green, blue, and yellow lines that we use, but they simply help us track beginnings of trends. We had a trend crossing over going up on the 2-hour chart back sometime around the 4th of November. It was followed by another trend kicking over, moving up on the 2-day chart. That's shown by a blue vertical line. Then we had a yellow vertical line showing that the weekly chart had moved over. The market then sort of lost a little bit of energy, and when it crossed back over going up, we had the best and safest point for getting in the market. We had a confirmed trend that actually moved back over going up above our weekly trend line, and one of the safest points to get in and look to make money and not lose money in the market. We are all about helping you find the knowledge that you need, develop the skill set that you need, and this is what we ask from everyone who follows our channel. Otherwise, don't tune in. You're just wasting your time if you show up occasionally. We want you to spend the 10 minutes a day that we ask from our little short broadcast where we cover basically 4 ETFs. We cover the S&P 500. We cover the Qs, which is the NASDAQ 100, the tech stocks. We cover gold, as depicted by GLD, another exchange-traded fund that tracks gold at 10% of the price of gold in the market. And we cover the 20-year bonds. We ask you to spend 10 minutes with us every day covering the market. We have a daily market worksheet that's available for everybody who signs up for our podcast at our website. We provide you for free with all these things. You get the layout that we use at freestockcharts.com, which is what you're seeing on the screen. We provide you with our training, which is our How to Read a Stock Chart video. And we give you a link to the daily market worksheet that we ask you to follow along and fill out every day, 10 minutes. If you will spend 10 minutes with us, every day the market is open, and we produce our podcast at the end of every day, so you've got it sometime around 5, 6 in the evening, and it's good through the next day. But we ask you to listen to it, study it before the market opens the following day, and we ask you to do that day in and day out. What will happen over time? You will start to understand. You'll start to not just guess at where the market's going, but you'll start to understand where it's probably going. And as those probabilities of where different ETFs, again, the Standard & Poor's 500, the big stocks in the market, the tech stocks from the Qs, the NASDAQ 100, commodities like gold and the bond market, when you're able to start following and predicting accurately, imagine that. It's like having the Wall Street Journal financial pages 1, 2, 3, 4 days in advance. What kind of money could you make when you got good at predicting this? Unlimited amounts of money? I mean, but what does it take? Do you think this is easy? If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. It's not easy, but it is something that you can learn if you put the time into it. If you're willing, day in and day out, before you go to bed or before you go to work in the morning, whatever it might be, you spend the 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day, less than an hour a week. If you will do that over time, and I can't tell you how long it will take. Will it take 5 years? 10 years? Will it take 6 months? Probably more than 6 months. Might take a year, might take 2. What do you have to lose? If you can gain this knowledge, if you can work on this day by day and figure it out, some of the best traders I know don't even have, they don't have college degrees. Many of them just have high school diplomas, if that. But what have they done? They realized, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to figure it out. And they work at it, and they study, and they practice day after day. We urge you to go out to any of the online brokerage firms. Create yourself a virtual trading account. It doesn't cost you anything. You can become a virtual millionaire about 10 minutes after listening or less to this podcast. And populate your account with $1 million virtual dollars. And then start practice trading. After a while, if you stick with it, you will figure out how it works, and you will get better and better and better. And at some point, you will have the ability to start trading on your own. And it's your own call, and you will develop your own method. You'll listen to what we have to say, and you'll take some of it. Maybe some of it you'll discard. Maybe you'll just go with one index. Maybe you'll just want to trade bonds. Maybe that's all you'll want to do is do TLT. Maybe you'll go out and say, look, I don't care for any of the indexes these guys use. I'm going to go find a basket of 5 stocks that I'm going to trade. Guess what? The rules are the same. If you can read charts, if you can understand candlesticks, derivative oscillators, price percent oscillators, Bollinger Bands, if you can start figuring these things out and understanding how they work in relationship to each other and develop your own rules, the world, my friends, is your oyster. Why doesn't everyone do this? Well, why doesn't everybody make $1 million, become brain surgeons? But they don't have the desire, and they don't have the willpower, and they don't have just the sheer perseverance to keep doing it. I'm convinced human beings can do just about anything they want if they're willing to pay the price. And the price on this, honestly, is about 10 minutes a day. Just stick with it. And you'll go through thick and thin when there's a rising market and you think you're a genius, and then the market turns around or gets flat and you stop making the kind of gains you were making when you thought you were a genius, and you get discouraged. You know what you do? You just keep working through it, and you will eventually figure it out. The market's not going to give up its riches easily, but it will give them up to those who persevere. That's what I encourage you to do. If you're interested, go to chartingwealth.com. Sign up for our newsletter. All you got to put in is your first name and your email address. You'll get it every day. Listen to our training videos at the website, at our YouTube channel. Subscribe there also. You can subscribe on iTunes to our podcast. We're there for you every day the market is open. And if you'll stick with us, our gift to you is that you will, in good time, become a charting master, because it truly is your key to successful investment and trading. God bless from chartingwealth.com.